Mr. Sothinathan, who was an assistant teacher and a sectional head of a high school in the Wanni district and a native of Mullaitivu district. I am now 68 years old and now after retirement living with a family in the area. With my family, after several displacements, I am here at last close to the Mathalan hospital, which has been shifted from Thukudipu government hospital due to intensive shelling and bombardings by the Sri Lankan government force. So here I am with my family members. The whole of the day and most of the night, the family is in the bunker. The same thing around me, the atmosphere and the environment, all the people who were displaced from the district are now being congested in the very enclosure-like in an area where all the people of the district are being congested, and they are merely living the whole day in the bunkers. Now the situation is more intensive and more severe. Every day from the security area which has been declared by Sri Lankan government, such as Thevipuram, Suthinathan, Udiyarkattu, Mungilaru and such other places which has been several times declared and redeclared as security zones, and the refugees, the civilians who vacated their areas relied the government declaration and they went there for their shelter. But due to intensive shelling and bombardings, most of the areas, most of the people who were refugees there and who settled in temporary tarpaulin sheet sheds were killed, massacred, and they were fatally injured in their temporary shelters. Really, this is a pathetic situation and a sad plight which the civilians who were displaced from their areas and who were displaced from their native places were now struggling and suffering and escaping from these shellings and bombardings of the forces of Sri Lanka for their life and for their blood kids and kin's life for survival. Now the situation is worse, had come from bad to worse, which has driven the people to depression and frustration and even to desperate situation like running and finding shelters for their lives and for their family members' safety. Now the situation, as I have seen, most people who found shelters in the security areas as declared by the government, such as Thevipuram, Udiyarkattu, Viswamadu and Mungilaru and such other places, they are being forcibly expelled by shellings and bombardings, and on the way where they were they are being again bombarded and shelled, and the people, those civilians say they are finding no other help, and in desperate situation they flee from the areas to safety areas like other places where there is also intensive shelling. So these people, these refugees who suffer and who run for their survival and who flee for their survival to other places, they don't have no safety shelters even there. Now, as I have seen from this place and the environment and the area here, people injured, people who were succumbed to death, succumbed to injuries, were brought to the temporary hospital at New Mathalan, where I have gone to see the gory scene, which is very horrible. The patients, the injured, fatally injured, and those succumbed to deaths were being laid under trees for their treatments. Even the most injured peoples, those who need very intensive care and those who need very urgent medical treatments are under the trees. They are being treated by handful of doctors who cannot complete the satisfactory treatment even when they work round the clock. Now they are finding that there are no basic medicines, basic treatments, as major injuries cannot be treated without the anesthesia and the essential drugs. No, even they find no basic equipments, no basic instruments here to treat those fatally injured patients. Even the succumbed to injuries and those people who died in the when fleeing from the bombarding and shelling areas, they were being killed and massacred on the way to their finding shelter to another places. Now I can see more intensive displacements from the security areas, and the people those who are displaced are along the roads finding shelters under the trees, and they are unable to bear the horrible weather and the rains and the droughts and the dust of the roads, and their children are suffering from epidemic infested diseases. So those children